This is Donald Trump, the President of the United States. On Monday, December 15th, Trump made a post on Truth Social reacting to the deaths of actor, director, and political activist Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. So unless you've been living under a rock over the last couple of days, you'll know that Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner were murdered, allegedly, by their son Nick, which is absolutely horrific. And President Trump's tweet saying that Rob Reiner died from Trump derangement syndrome, it just didn't meet the moment, and was widely criticized. Put this in the Louvre for being Trump's worst social media post of all time. Horrific response. Terrible look, shaking my head. This tweet is so disappointing and so unnecessary. It's comments like this that take away from the countless great things Donald Trump does for America. It has to be said, Trump's tweet about Rob Reiner is a huge fail. Embarrassing and unbecoming of the institution of the presidency, which is far greater than any one man. And when asked about this criticism, the president doubled down.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country.
And look, I get why Trump hated him. For the better part of a decade, Rob Reiner has been one of Trump's loudest detractors, regularly hitting the airwaves, pushing the Russia hoax, calling Trump a fascist dictator, and claiming that, thanks to Donald Trump, that there was a countdown to the end of our democracy.
You know, great civilizations last anywhere from 250 to 300 years. We're at 241 right now. This thing is eating away at the fabric of our democracy. We need to get this man out of there. This man is poisonous to our democracy. We're right now at a point where democracy is hanging by a thread. It's incredible. I mean, our democracy is hanging in the balance. 241 years of self-rule is hanging in the balance. We've been tested before, but make no mistake about it, we are being tested right now as to whether or not 241 years of self-rule will emerge. These attacks are indication, as you talked to Marcia Gessen earlier, that authoritarianism has entered the bloodstream of America. They're trying to wake people up to tell them that we have to do something about it. We have to protect ourselves, and if we don't, our 241 years of democracy and self-governance will start to collapse. This is all hands on deck from now until Election Day, because the democracy depends on it, and whether or not we sustain the 244 years of self-rule that we have started during the birth of our country. So there couldn't be more at stake than what's here at this election. I know I sound hyperbolic, but
not to me.
I believe everything I'm saying here is true. 246 years we're coming up on, the longest democracy in the world, and it's hanging by a thread. You have one candidate, Trump, who actually tells you he's going to govern like an authoritarian. He says it. It's not a mystery. And you have another guy who has been there, knows how to run the government, believes in the Constitution, believes in democracy, the rule of law, and you've got to make a choice. You have to make a choice. Do we want fascism, or do we want to continue the 248 years of self-rule? Right now, America is right at the crossroads of whether or not this world starts evolving into an autocratic world as opposed to holding on to democracy. We're the oldest democracy in the world. We've been around for 249 years. We've had that many years of self-rule. And the election that you're seeing coming up in 2024 is going to be a referendum on whether or not we want to maintain and hold on to our democracy, or do we want to give it over to autocracy, fascism, or theocracy. One of the great resources that we've been given is the wisdom of the founding fathers to create a constitution upon which we can build this wonderful, now 241-year experiment that we've had. And my fear is that those pillars of that institution are being torn away. It's more than a slippery slope. This thing is barreling downhill, and we have, I would say, a year to be able to correct this and see whether or not our 250-year experiment continues to survive.
So as you can see, there's no love lost between Rob Reiner and Donald Trump. But was posting about it in this way the best way for the President of the United States to address the situation? No, of course not. And I'm not saying that Trump should have written something magnanimous, because everyone would have known that it was complete BS. But he could have kept it to a bare minimum, or better yet, he could have not posted about it at all. So the Democrat National Committee took Trump's post and reacted to it on X and wrote, "We lost Rob and Michelle Reiner less than 24 hours ago. This is how Trump responded. Heartless." Now, if you follow me on X, and why wouldn't you be, you would have seen my response where I wrote the following. I remember every Democrat on the planet defending Jimmy Kimmel over his jokes about Charlie Kirk's murder. You hypocrites don't have a leg to stand on. Okay, maybe not literally every Democrat on the planet, but to be fair, a whole bunch of them came out in his defense.
So I think we really need to make very clear that the First Amendment does not allow us, the FCC, to tell broadcasters what they can broadcast. Personally, I'd rather not speak ill of the dead, but I understand Jimmy Kimmel is a satirist and a comedian. I saw the clip. He did not make any unfounded claims, but he did make a joke, one that others may even find crude.
That was Anna Gomez, a Biden-appointed FCC commissioner, saying Jimmy Kimmel was making a joke and that he didn't make any unfounded claims. Gomez's term ends July 1st, 2026, which can't come soon enough.
To recap, Kimmel made a joke on air where he suggested that the man who killed Charlie Kirk in that awful murder was a supporter of the MAGA movement. Now, that is not true.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Kimmel was wrong on the facts, at least as he suggested them in the joke.
Is the joke in the room with us now, Chris? Now, you might be thinking that what Kimmel said was a statement, but you'd be wrong. Here's Tim Miller from The Bulwark to explain why it's a joke and why it's funny.
What he is saying here is that the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize the kid as anything other than one of them. The joke is about how MAGA is out there being super desperate to, try to use this to their political advantage.
Oh, I get it now. Thanks, Tim. Just remember, folks, when Jimmy Kimmel says distasteful things, it's a First Amendment issue and he can say what he wants. But if Trump says distasteful things, it's heartless and it must be disavowed. Anyway, my tweet on the matter went marginally viral, and with it, a ton of comments calling me a liar. Jimmy Kimmel never joked about Kirk's murder. You're spreading misinformation. Actually, Jimmy Kimmel never joked about Charlie Kirk's murder. He joked about Trump's reaction to the murder. Keep facts straight. 1, Jimmy Kimmel didn't make a joke about it. 2, Jimmy Kimmel isn't the president of the country. Jimmy Kimmel never joked about Charlie Kirk's death, not once. Kimmel didn't joke about Kirk's murder, he joked about Trump's seeming lack of caring about it. Can you quote the joke you were so offended by? I just want you to see the hoops you have to jump through to act like it's the same at all. Why yes I can. Cry harder. Better yet, I'll play the clip.
On a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the 4th stage of grief, construction. There's demolition, construction.
So nice that Jimmy Kimmel is making fun of someone's grieving process. Maybe Trump throws himself into his work. Who's Jimmy Kimmel to judge?
This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
So just on a human level, why is Jimmy Kimmel making jokes related to a major political figure's murder? Your memory really sucks. None of that happened. Except he didn't make jokes about Charlie's murder. Stop lying. Fact check false. Jimmy Kimmel was making fun of Trump for his reaction and grieving process regarding, wait for it, Charlie Kirk's murder. Translation, he was making jokes about Charlie Kirk's murder. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. And on that factual note, that's it for now. If you want to support the channel, head over to my new merch store at don'twalkrun.shop. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time, if there is next time.